I believe that we are going to be given a presentation by Mr. Elder regarding the Parks and Rec, or is it the Historical Society?
It's Parks and Rec.
Okay.
Well, first I want to sorry, Daryl, go ahead.
You're on, go.
Okay. Thank you all for letting me be here tonight and give the presentation. And I want to thank you also for letting us do the survey. This is sort of the results of that. The surveys can be ongoing, so we're going to leave it up right now. But obviously, there was a little interruption here in terms of the survey itself and what happened with COVID and all that. But we got some good results back that we want to share with you. And I also want to thank Missy for her tremendous work on setting up the form online so people could actually do it without having to use paper, which was a new idea, but it worked out pretty well. So I had Heather. She asked if she asked about the presentation. I did give it to her. I hope it's in your packets, and I'm going to go through the pages. I'm obviously not going to read each page because I know everybody can read here, but I wanted to do some highlights.
Peter, I had already set up the packet, so it's on the screen. Your survey is on the screen. Your presentation's on the screen.
Okay, cool. All right, so you'll see it. I don't know if you can rotate through while I'm talking, but okay. So the next page from the one you're on, we were asking about what park people visited, and I think not too surprisingly, the most visited park was Veterans Memorial Park, probably because of all the events that were held there, that are currently held there. You can also notice that we have a lot of people who also went to the Chance Park, and that's reflected in later pages, and then also some that went to the Wilmerite Park as well. So those are pretty much the three main parks that people are really going to in the village, and that you'll see that reflected in some of their answers later on too. And by the way, if you have any questions, just stop me and ask, because we're going to be going through about 6 or 7 or 8 pages here, so I don't want you to forget what you're asking. The next page was about how often do they visit the parks, and most people visit them about a few times a year. Some people visit them more. About a quarter of the people visit them once a week, and so they do get visited. Depending, if you look at the whole pie chart, you take away the few times a year one, and the once a year one. About half the people that were surveyed visited at least every month of one of our parks. So that's not a bad visitation rate, really. So I think that it shows a good reason to have the parks, because people are obviously using them. Heather, is there a way for me to forward through this, or?
Yes, I'm sorry, I just had technical difficulty. 1 second, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
So I can either make you the presenter and you can do it yourself, or I can do it for you.
If you want to make me the presenter, I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
Oh, maybe it's not working.
Nope, you're all good. I just made you presenter.
Okay.
Screen, not in your, you can't control your screen.
Everyone make sure you're muted. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, I'm not sure what it's doing now, but
Hello.
hey, what's going on?
Good, how you doing?
Doing all right. So I think the parks, there we go. The parks are doing, so we do get visitation to the parks. On the next page, we had what do they like to do when they are at the park, and they do a lot of meeting up with friends at the park, and I think that's kind of neat too, because it's a gathering place for people. And there's some picnicking and playground use there as well, obviously. But it's kind of neat that our parks are a gathering place for people, and that's obviously a great use of them. We asked about the dog idea because in the past we talked about the idea of what would happen if we tried to make one of our parks more friendly to dogs. And this sort of shows that maybe we don't necessarily have that need, because we had about 51% of people that either don't have a dog or they actually don't bring their dog to the park. I mean, there's 46% that have, but it's just something to think about that. Clearly, that's not a major. That's not even the majority use of them of the parks themselves. We did ask about how they get there, and this sort of surprised me that we only have about 38% of the people responding that said that they actually walk to our parks, but a majority of them drive. So obviously the parking thing is important to people. And that may also be reflected later on when we see who's actually using the park and where they live, because that was another surprise as well. But clearly the people do drive to our parks a lot. The next slide was who goes to the park with you, and it was predominantly either their spouse, their partner, or their children. So that actually shows us that it's mostly families that are going there. And then again, we had the next category down was friends, which might reflect again the gathering place for people. There we go. Okay. So we asked them what their favorite park was on the next slide, and the most common response was the Veterans Memorial Park. That's probably the park they know best. It's where the events are. But then you can also see we had a comment about the Wilmerite Park that people liked because of its isolation. And later on, you'll see that Chance Park is used an awful lot too. So reflected in some comments later. So the next slide was what do they like best about it? And you'll notice it says, there it is, the top one, a place where the people in the village can come together. One person, I thought it was neat, the next comment about the fact they liked the fact that they're very good looking parks. Thank you, Jake, for your guys and all that, and keeping them up like you do. And then you'll notice that there was a comment about being well kept and about good green space. And then there's also even, look at that one at the bottom, again, a great testament to our DPW guys about the always clean and well cared for. So thumbs up on that. They had some suggestions about improving them. And this really was some COVID things came in here about, which we could do more, hoping that we can have something in the parks. And I was at the bid meeting, the Business Improvement District meeting on Tuesday morning, and they are talking about doing some events in August and September. So I think you can look forward to maybe a movie, at least one, and at least a concert or two coming up. And again, hopefully that'll bring people back to the parks through the summer and early fall. We did get some comments about upgrading some equipment once in a while, some benches, but those are nothing new. And I'm thinking the comment at the bottom about the litter was probably some odd day when there was some trash bin overflowing, because otherwise these comments are very positive about how they look and how they're kept up. So. Then this is kind of interesting. We tried to get a little demographic information. So if you look at the next slide, we asked them, who are you by age? And you'll notice, and I don't know if this would be a surprise to anyone, but the plurality is 37.1% are 51 to 65. And then we have 35 to 50, and then we have 65 plus. So our parks are being used by a lot of middle-aged people, a little older, and obviously a little bit younger, some. But if you look at the group that's using it, that might surprise everyone that we're really getting a lot of people who are middle-aged using our parks. So that's something to think about too. The next slide, I think, is kind of the one that also surprised me. We asked them where do they live, and you'll notice that about 42.6% of the people that use our parks actually don't live in the village. so a little less than half of them actually live in the village. So we have a really nice mix of town residents and village residents that are both utilizing our parks. And that's kind of a neat thing. And that might also be reflected in that prior slide that talked about how they get to the parks, because obviously a lot of people in the town would have to drive to get there. So you might be seeing a connection there between where they live and how they arrive at the destination. And yes, there is somebody on this. There are people on there coming from Irondequoit. So think about that one. They're not going to Duran Eastman. They're coming to the village of Webster. And then I think that was the last slide I had on there. I don't know if there's any questions, but we did have some other comments about people saying that they believed outdoor recreation was essential, and about holding events, and that they were talking about upgrading equipment, which I know Jake has done consistently over the years, and then about winterizing the parks and things like that. But in general, the comments, the general comments reflected the more specific ones about how they like the parks and how they like to keep seeing them upgraded and how valuable they were as an asset to the village. So, again, I want to thank Missy for helping with this, and we'll keep it going for right now. If anybody wants to, go on and fill out the survey and add to the number, that would be great, because the more people we have, the better our statistical result will be. Do you guys have any questions that I can help answer?
I just want to say thank you to you and Misty. This is some great data to have.
Yeah, same here. I just want to say thanks. It was absolutely fantastic. Great job.
I'm sorry, Dale.
Here that Harmony was ranked very low in terms of the parks that they go to, but let's hope that the new apartments or townhomes there on Phillips Phillips will increase that number for the park. Especially if they get back. So.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I can tell you already there are people registering to vote in there. So obviously we're getting residences in there, and this may be the reflection of Wilmerite is because the band has not played in the time that this survey was put out. So it's one of the reasons it might be interesting to leave it up for like another few months. I don't know. Well, the band's probably not going to play this year, but the main attraction for Harmony Park was the band playing there on Thursday nights. So without them there, I don't know how many people go. And it can be a little wet in the summertime to the fall. I know Jake has worked hard on that in the past as far as drainage in there. But it is so that maybe they're reflected in there. Maybe we can look at that a little bit again next year, revisit it, and see what we get then when more of those places are filled up and we have more events going on there. Anyone else?
I like that first slide of yours, the one with the pictures of the different parks. Probably can't put that back up again, but the point of view that its picture was taken, there it is. The point of view that the picture is taken there shows that the rose bushes actually are very full and in bloom, which, of course, is not necessarily the case at the moment. So I do like that picture. And I'm not sure if the trees are quite as full in that picture as they are now, but that really is a good picture. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, those are. We did talk about. We have a parks brochure, and Missy and I have talked about updating it with even newer pictures. So that is one of the things we're going to work on is making sure that we have some current pictures. This is a good time of year to do it because everything's kind of blooming now. It's kind of in the middle of the summer, so it's not a bad time to go in and take a look at what they look like again. So.
Well done, Peter. Well done.
A lot of great comments about the new gazebo at 104 and 250.
Well, that looks great, and we've included that park in our brochure. So I don't know if that's made it to Village. I think that's made it to Village Hall. If not, it will. We really think that that people need to realize that park is there because it's a gorgeous park, and it also serves an excellent purpose because it has It's right along the trail. It's really near the other trail, and it has great benches to sit down on if you're tired. So
Peter, I have a big question.
okay.
Do we, if there is an increase in number of people at the, I think it's the Wilmerite that's over there in Shands Park, from the building of the town, town complex back in there, the town homes that have been built right at the border. Are they using the park? Do you know?
I haven't seen them, but Jake, I know you were back there. Did you see anything, Jake, about anybody from the town coming in there?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely, it's in their backyard, and it's just a quick little, I believe there's even a little bridge in one area to get over a wet spot to get into the park. That's if you're talking about Wilmerite Park off of Iroquois, or backs up to, I believe it's Shallow Creek. I'm not sure if that's quite the name of the street, but yeah, I think that they're certainly come over and utilize that park.
Thank you, Peter.
Well, thank all of you, and I miss seeing you, and hopefully we'll be able to see you again soon.
One more question, Peter. How we doing with the Etna Struck Park?
Well, we had originally thought about doing something in the spring, but obviously those plans got delayed. So our plan now is to try to at least do something in the fall. That might involve planting some basic plantings, but they recommended that we try to do the trees in the fall. So I think that might be where our focus would be, is trying to get those trees in and then do more of the plantings next spring. Clearly this whole thing delayed our schedule, so.
And I know we discussed it earlier, having doing something in the spring, but with coronavirus and COVID and everything, you're absolutely right. Planting the trees, the fall's the best time. But spring or fall, this is certainly not a great time. So we do all the prep work and lay the groundwork for finishing things in the spring. But the big piece is do the trees and that framework that we can build off of in the spring with the final touches of flowers and things. That'd be great, I think.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I'll touch base with you, Jake, about that. We can maybe get going when we get there in the fall. But yeah, and I know that probably people are wondering why we haven't done more, but it wasn't a good time at this point to do it. So.
All right, thank you, Peter.